Hi everyone, my name is Laura Swain, and I have been teaching the Psychology 101 class here at USC Aiken for about the last 7 years. I think this class has really allowed me to get a good understanding of who our students are, in that I teach 200 of them in this class each semester. They range between the dual enrolled high school student all the way up through the super duper senior, although most are freshmen, and most are non-psychology majors. So from this experience, I feel I have really learned a lot over the years about how to facilitate a positive learning environment despite different backgrounds, abilities, and attention spans. And to me, if I don't set the stage for a positive learning environment for every student in my classroom, then I could possibly be paving the way to the failure of learning, if even just for one student. Thank you for coming to my TenTalk, setting the stage for a great semester. First things first, your expectations have to be clear. Research shows that behavior is consistently much better when preceded by this expectation briefing, and of course the opposite when that conversation doesn't happen. It's also understood that when we don't make it clear what our expectations are, then any behavior that deviates from this is partly our own fault. Also required is consistency in these rules and consequences. This is especially important in a large classroom where diffusion of responsibility is greater. Therefore, the onus is on us to be clear and transparent. When this needs to happen is day 1. This is probably the most important day this semester and sets the tone for the remainder of your time with your students. So, if you want your class to be a hard grinding class, make that clear. If you want your class to be a laid-back class, make that clear. Most importantly, it's always easier to get softer as the semester progresses than harder. If you find that students aren't giving as much effort as you want them to be giving, for example, you are likely to get resistance and resentment and therefore barriers in learning when you start adding more expectations as the semester progresses. Now, I do want to point out that the rest of this TenTalk includes policies and expectations specific to my 101 course. You'll notice I probably have stricter policies than you might see in upper level courses, and the reason is that most of these students are fresh out of high school, especially of course in the fall semester. Having structure in the classroom is very helpful for the transitioning high school to college student, in that it actually helps in that transition. For my graduate stats class, on the other hand, I don't need as many rules and policies because all I have to tell those students is I expect you to be here and ready to learn, and, well, they do it. Either way, have these expectations in writing, and a great place for that is your syllabus. Here's some syllabus advice, and first and foremost, I would suggest that you have major points highlighted, literally. I actually highlight my main points in yellow. We all know also that most students don't read the syllabus. This is why we have the saying, it's in the syllabus. I have found that a syllabus quiz helps in that it adds accountability and responsibility to the students for their learning and understanding of what your expectations are. It also allows us the ability to assess their understanding of the syllabus. Therefore, it allows us to know what we need to be more clear on or explain better. Moving on to potential distractions in your classroom, which can inhibit, of course, the positive learning environment. Again, make it clear about why this is important. I emphasize the fact that it affects classmates negatively, and it really does decrease the positive learning environment. I also emphasize the aspect of respect for each other and each other's learning. When distractions come to the talkers in the classroom, one of the best ways to combat this is to be proactive in giving ample opportunity to talk in class. Because my class is a large auditorium style classroom, this is actually a potential serious problem, especially when students feel it's easier to become lost in the crowd. Even if you don't have a large classroom, students may easily feel this way if they are physically distant from you. This can be actually easily helped out by simply moving throughout the class and entering your student space. Feeling lost in the crowd can also simply happen when they are just not engaged. And when students are disengaged, this is when they're going to start talking to their friends about weekend plans. How do we combat this? Again, we need to re-engage the students, and this can be done by either engaging the students directly with you or directly with each other. This is good advice that I incorporate throughout my classroom and intermittently throughout each lesson. And I have also included a link at the end of this talk if you are interested in more active learning opportunities. And that's essentially what this is allowing active learning in the classroom. In my 101 class, I also have a policy on disruptive behavior. And this is just an excerpt actually taken out of my syllabus that if you'd like to read through, how I deal with disruptive behavior, including excessive talking in the classroom. And again, I point out the importance of why this is not a good thing. And I've also actually included comments from my student evaluation so students can see it is a problem by their peers if they engage in this disruptive type of behavior. So here's my policy. However, again, I find that engagement of the students is more effective than actually creating a point deduction policy or any type of disciplinary action. Another point I want to make about a successful positive learning environment is again regarding distractions, and that is the distraction of electronics. For reducing distractions in the class related to technology, I have tried several different behavioral modification strategies, including the reduction of participation from what you saw in the previous slide. For technology, however, I found that the best strategy to deter this is positive reinforcement. And positive reinforcement for me in my class is the opportunity for extra credit. Here's my syllabus statement that you can read through, but I do need to note that in order for this to work, I do need to move around the classroom and I do need to know who my students are so that way I can monitor any use of electronics outside of the specific learning at hand. In order to help with this, especially in a large classroom, I do have students pick their seat for the semester that they have to stay in for the rest of the semester, and then I create a seating chart to help me learn their names. Having the seating chart in hand also allows me to call on them by name. Let's talk about the latecomers, those who walk in a class late and again distract the learning of their peers, and again reducing the positive learning environment. As I have emphasized, make it clear why this is an issue and why students should be on time to class. When I emphasize this positive learning environment, I really do make it clear that each student should have the opportunity to learn without being distracted by their classmates. When distractions do consistently happen by a single student, then a conversation with that student is probably needed. Maybe, for example, the student needs help or advice or may not actually be clear on what the problem is. Additional ideas to deter tardies, of course, incorporate being on time into a grade. Also, of course, creating a rule and what consequences will occur when tardies happen. Here is my tardy policy taken straight out of my Psych 101 syllabus. What you'll notice in this policy are several things. The first is the importance for being on time. Also, what you will notice is how a student will be considered tardy or late. The third thing that you'll notice is what needs to happen if a student is late. Last, there is a consequence for excessive lateness. And, of course, I have to be consistent and follow up with that consequence. In closing, these are just some of the ways that I have been able to help set the stage for a successful semester for my students. If you want further information, please check out these links below. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.